Hello, my name is Dr. Linda Gorman, and I'm a neuroscientist. Neuroscience is a big word, but a neuroscientist is a person who knows a lot about the brain. And I'm here today to talk to you about how you can keep your brain healthy. It's really easy, and anyone can do it. I love to talk about brain health because it's spectacular, and spectacular means great. When your brain is spectacular, you're a happy and healthy person. This story is about cognitive health, which is the C in spectacular. Cognitive health is about thinking, and not just when you're in school. Cognitive is a big word that means being able to think. Your brain thinks all the time. That's something you do inside of your head. And it's your brain's job to think, and by thinking, you're making your brain healthy. So let's see how you can keep your brain healthy. Learning is something that is important to all animals. And yes, people are animals too. Animals need to learn about the world that they live in so they know what to eat, where to sleep, which animals to hang around with, and which animals want to eat them. As the world changes, so do the things that they need to learn. This story, which is called Lots of Ways to Learn, talks about how learning has changed since back in the caveman days and how we learn changes as we get older. Understanding that how we learn and that different people learn in different ways at different times in their lives is really important for our cognitive health. And being able to keep learning throughout our lifetime is what helps to keep our brain healthy. Now, back in the caveman days, children didn't go to school to learn. Children in the days of cavemen spent all their time trying to learn how to get the things they needed to stay alive. People had to hunt for their food they needed. There were no grocery stores to get the food. There were no refrigerators or electricity to store or cook the food. People also lived in caves because they didn't have the tools they needed to build the houses. The caves, because they didn't have houses, they didn't have the tools, the caves helped them to avoid animals that wanted to eat them. They also helped to protect them from the weather because cavemen spent all their time just learning how to stay alive. They didn't have time way back when to learn how to read and write. When you learn how to read and write, it's easier to learn lots of things. That's why schools spend so much time teaching children how to read and write. Once you learn how to read, you can learn anything. Before people could write, they had to learn by doing things themselves or having others show them how to do things. Because animals, they can't write. That's how animals learn, by watching other animals or trial and error, figuring it out themselves. Being able to write things down, we have a history of what people thought about and learned. So when the ancient caveman learned how to make a fire to cook food, they were able to write it down on the walls of the caves, and then others could learn too. When the caveman learned where all the dangerous animals lived, they were able to write it down so others could avoid the dangerous animals. When you're able to learn from others about what they learned, then you have more time to think and learn new things. So learning how to read and write is an important step in being able to learn. As you learn how to read and write, it's important to know that everyone can learn, but different people may learn differently. You may learn one thing and your friend may learn things a different way. There are lots of reasons why people learn differently, and most of them, of course, have to do with our brain. Let me explain. When you look at people, you see that most people have hair on their heads. We know that while everyone has some kind of hair, that the hair can be different colors, different textures, like straight or curly. We know that some people like to have long hair, others short hair, and some like to shave off their hair. We're not sure why, they just do. We can think of the brain in the same way. All people have a brain. We know that all people can think and learn. We also know that for some reason, some people like to use their brain in different ways. Some people like to read, other people like to build things, while other people like to think about numbers. The list goes on forever. The secret to being able to learn is to find a way to learn using a way that your brain likes to do things. Let's see. Let's say that you were learning about different states of matter in science. You learned that there are gases, there are liquids, and there are solids. Now, some people will try to learn and remember this information by either writing it down or saying it out loud to themselves or to others, like in study groups. But did you know that cooking can also help you learn about different states of matter? Lots of people like to think about cooking and baking. They love cooking and watching cooking shows. Did you know that when you start to make a cake, the cake batter is liquidy at first? Then you pour it in a pan and you put it in the oven. The heat turns the liquidy batter into solid cake. Yum! You also just learned that if you change the heat, the state of matter will change. You essentially just turned a liquid into a solid. As long as you have molecules, they can combine and link together. You can also change a liquid to a solid by taking away heat. Think about making popsicles. If you heat a liquid, like when you boil water, you get gas. Think about things in a way that you enjoy, and it makes learning easy. And you tend to remember things better that way. Okay, now let's say you were learning about fractions in math. Here again, we can use something that we like to think about to help us learn. Some people, they just love numbers, and their brain likes to think about numbers. Learning fractions may be easy for them because they like numbers. But you know what else? Lots of people like pizza. So how can we use our love of pizza to help us learn fractions? All right, let's think about this. So if we look, we know that a fraction is a part of a whole. And if we want to know whether a quarter of a pizza is bigger than a half of a pizza, well, lucky for us, most people cut their pizza into slices. You learn that a fraction is a piece of something bigger. You also learned that the bottom number of the fraction tells you how many pieces to break the pizza, in this case, into. So let's see. If we want to know if a quarter of a pizza is bigger than a half of a pizza, well, first we think that, well, 4 is bigger than 2. So maybe a quarter is bigger than a half. But then, so maybe the quarter is bigger than a half. But then we think about our pizza. Here we have a pizza that's cut into 4 pieces. And we're showing 3 of those. So we're saying 3/4, but the part that's gone, that's a quarter of the pizza. Here we've cut the pizza into 2 pieces. And the part that's gone, that's half. Okay, so if you cut a pizza into 2 pieces, then each piece would be a half. All right. If we cut the pizza into 4 pieces, then each piece would be a quarter. So let me ask you this. If you were hungry, Which piece of pizza would you want to eat? Would you want to eat a quarter of the pizza or would you want to eat the half of the pizza? Yep, the piece that's the half is bigger than the quarter. So the quarter, even though 4 is bigger on the bottom, that means we're cutting the pizza into more slices, and the slices get smaller. So thinking about things in a way that you enjoy, see, it's easy to learn, and you tend to remember things better that way. So people learn things in different ways, and you just need to find out how your brain likes to learn. Plus, the way you learn, it's going to change as you grow up. When you were young, you most likely learned things differently than you do now. So we change the way we learn things. Let's think about this. Did you ever wonder why babies and toddlers put everything in their mouths? Well, it's because babies tend to be interested in food. Think about it. Most babies, they spend their time eating and sleeping and yes, going to the bathroom. So babies use their mouths a lot to explore the world they live in. When you were a baby, you probably put lots of things in your mouth. How about now? Do you try to figure out what something is by putting it in your mouth? Of course not. Now, when you're trying to figure out what something is, you may pick it up, you may look at it, you may smell it, but rarely do you stick it in your mouth. Babies use their mouths because they can't move their hands and pick up things like we can. As you grow older and your brain grows up too, you'll be able to do more things. And because of this, you'll be able to learn more things. Because people are able to read and write, they can learn how to do things easily. This gives us more time to think and learn about new things. People learned how to make cars and planes so we can get to places faster. People learned how to make phones so we could talk to each other even when we're far away. People learned how to make computers so we could work and play more. So the next time you have to learn something in school, try to use a way that your brain likes. Remember, there are lots of different ways to learn. You just want to make your brain happy. You may like to learn about math by reading about how it works or practicing various problems, while your friend may like to learn math by using flashcards or even blocks or pizza. You're all learning about math. You're all just learning in a way that makes each of your brains happy. Different people learn different things differently because our brains are all a little bit different, just like our hair. Plus, you may find that you like to learn different things in different ways. What do I mean? Well, you may like to read about how to do math, but you like to write when you're learning about science. You just need to find the way that you like to learn these things yourself. And remember that different people learn in different ways at different times. You just need to find the best way for you to learn something that makes your brain happy. You also need to remember that if you're having trouble learning, there are lots of ways to get help. You can ask other people, you can talk to your family or your friends and see if they're able to help you. You can get ideas on good ways to learn from others, but it's up to you to figure out the way that your brain likes to learn. When you figure this out, that makes learning fun. Your brain likes to think and learn. This is how your brain stays healthy and how you stay happy. Just remember, your job right now is to go to school and learn. Learning can be lots of fun when you know that there are different ways to learn. Plus, because you can read and write, you can learn anything. Now, animals can learn too, but they can't read or write, which is why they don't go to school and why we can do so many more things than animals can do. But that's another story. So thank you for letting me talk to you about the lots of ways to learn. You can read and write. You can use a computer to watch videos and do work. You can listen to your teacher's stories or podcasts. You can act out what you learn or do experiments like cooking. I've enjoyed spending time today talking to you about your brain, and I hope you've had some fun and learned something about your brain. Remember, everyone has a brain, and brains like to learn. The secret is to finding a way that you like, that your brain likes to learn and remember. And to also remember that the way you learn, it's going to change as you grow up. Thinking and learning, though, that's going to help your brain stay healthy. And we know that a healthy brain is a spectacular brain. So thank you so much for all your help. And remember, brain health, not just spectacular, it's fun too. And we'd like to thank the people at Johns Hopkins University for helping us to help you understand that different people learn in different ways. Sometimes you can learn different things in different ways. And as you grow older, your brain and the way that you learn is going to change. But learning is something that the brain needs to do to stay happy and healthy. So thank you to the people at Johns Hopkins, especially Dr. Ron Daniels, for helping us to help you about the lots of different ways there are to learn.